Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 p.m. and we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Introducing ActivReporter with TrinSoft. And I would like to let you know, of course, that Tara and any of your other TrinSoft contacts are going to be your best resources for finding out any more information about ActivReporter. So, let me just introduce myself really quickly. I have both of us on this slide, but you all are familiar with Tara, of course. And then I am Sarah Brewster. I work here as the Intuitive Implementation Specialist. And so what I do is I do a lot of the fitting our product to your organization and solution. Let's talk about what we have right now. We're going to talk today about ActivReporter. Now, ActivReporter is a software that does a lot of different things. So here's some of the highlights. The first item that is a big point is that we are a replacement for Management Reporter or FRX. So if you're still working with Management Reporter or even still on FRX for your reporting needs, ActivReporter is a great opportunity to switch to something a little bit more robust and freshen up your reporting and your procedures around that. ActivReporter is a multi-use tool, so it's very easy to set up simple reporting, and we can handle almost any complex reporting need that you have. So that could be multiple companies, multiple budgets, multiple currencies, really specific departmental reporting needs, anything like that. That's something that we're able to cover because we're a very flexible product. This is a great bonus. We start and end in Excel. So as you might know, in many of your reporting processes, you are going to start in your reporting software, and by the end, you'll end up exporting it into Excel to do the last minute formatting and do maybe a couple KPI calculations or things like that at the end. The ActivReporter advantage is you can start there and build all of that in one time, and then every time you run that report, because it stays in Excel, you're going to have all that little analysis, those KPIs and things that you add, they're going to be there every time. So that way you don't have to worry about needing to start your report somewhere and end somewhere else. You can do the whole thing in Excel. So on top of being a reporting tool, we also offer financial analysis and research tools. So we'll see what that looks like in a moment, but just some highlights on that real quick. We do have a super fast, customizable data presentation. Think like a SmartList, but very fast and very, very flexible. We have a concept of unique in-application reports that show live data without any generation or refresh needed. This will be what I talk about later. It'll be the active trial balance. This is basically a report that always stays up to date, whether it's open or not. And then at any point, if you'd like to view it, you can click on it and see the results without needing to click another button to refresh or wait 30 seconds to pull a report. And we can look at that. And of course, we offer drill down to detail in ActivReporter. And you can also drill back on that same detail into Dynamics GP. So let's focus really quickly first on the Excel-based financial reporting piece. So a few highlights here before we dive into looking at the product. Of course, Excel is going to be a major benefit here. We work with Excel, not on top of Excel. And what that means is we work within the structure that Excel already has so that you don't lose any features that you have available in normal Excel. So that means you can change font colors, you can create responsive charts and graphs, you can use VBA or macros, anything like that that you can do in a normal Excel spreadsheet, you can do in an ActivReporter financial design. Of course, again, we offer the drill down to detail and the drill back to Dynamics GP. We have a layout tool to get a quick start. We'll see that in a moment. And it's a very simple tool to use because it's less confusing. What you see is what you get. As you design the report, you're going to see the results of your changes right before your eyes. And we'll see that in just a moment as well. And we do have a process to import Management Reporter row definitions and dimension sets, if you use those, into ActiveReporter so that they can be used there. So, okay, let me pull my screen up here and we will go into the program. So now you should be seeing my ActiveReporter desktop here, and it looks like you are. And so what we're going to do, we're going to start with a completed financial that's been created with the ActiveReporter application and exported out to my Windows file system here. So this just appears like a regular Excel spreadsheet, and I can open it here from my Windows Explorer folder. Oh, you can see I've got a few old things here. So this is, like I said, a completed financial statement that's been generated. You can see, like I said, we've got the charts here, the graphs. These are going to be responsive as these data numbers change, and every time you pull this for a different period, these graphs will change as the data changes, which makes for a very nice presentation if you'd like to do some dashboarding or something like that. Each one of these values here is, you can see, captured as just a value, and it is protected so that you can't make unintentional changes once it's been published and distributed. But what you are able to do as an ActiveReporter user is come up here to the Activity HD tab on the ribbon, and I'm going to connect this to my ActiveReporter database. You can see that I'm now connected to the Fabricam database. And what that allows me to do now is I have this little arrow that appears next to each one of my values. That arrow is going to provide me my drill down ability, so I can jump directly into the transaction detail for the value that I've selected. In this case, I've selected a balance sheet account to drill down on, my PPE here, and you can see that I'm able to actually display these entries and BBF entries from 2013 and 2014 all the way back at the beginning of time. Now, of course, that doesn't mean we have to go all the way back to the beginning of time. If I come over here to my income statement with sales, I drill down and you can see that I'm getting what is in Fabricam time relative data. This is data through April 2017 for the current year to date. So each one of these transaction detail line items represents an entire journal entry, right? So I can double click on this entry here specifically to drill down, get more detail on it here, as well as hit this journal entry button to pull up the entirety of the journal entry so I can see all the debits and credits that went into this one specific entry if I'd like to do that. From here, let me just open GP in the background so I can demonstrate our drill back since we just did our drill down. And of course, I'm already logged in. Okay. So now that we've got logged into our Fabricam company in GP, what I'm going to show you is that from here, if you'd like to, from this journal entry drill down, or all the way back to the very beginning, this drill down here that came directly from the spreadsheet, I have a keyboard shortcut that I can hit, and what that will do is pull up immediately the journal entry inquiry screen for the line item I have selected in my drill down explorer here from ActiveReporter. You can see that I've got my drill down explorer here showing that $69,000 credit, and here I have the journal entry inquiry window showing again that $69,000 credit. So you can see how this could be a very useful research tool as you're building or as you're looking at your finished financial statements that have been published. You can send these out to your managers and such, and they can come in, do some review here, and even go into GP and see what the entry was there if they'd like to see maybe the source document behind the line item. So, of course, finished financial reports are great, but you have a lot of time and work, sweat, blood, and tears in your current reporting system, right? You've built a lot of reports over a lot of years, and you don't want to lose any of that. You don't want to start over, and I totally understand that. That's a very reasonable viewpoint. So what we actually have developed is the ability to import from Management Reporter your row definitions into ActiveReporter. So let's just take a quick look here at that concept. For those who do not use Management Reporter or FRX, this will still help introduce you to the concept of how we do reporting in ActiveReporter. So I'd like to cover it right now. So here in Management Reporter, I'm just going to pull up the default row definition for your income statement. So you're seeing this very familiar presentation. Now, in ActiveReporter, what we've done is we've decided to leverage Excel for the formatting and totaling parts of our reports. So say this line here and this line here that are totals, we don't carry that over into ActiveReporter because that's easily recreated with Excel. What's not easily recreated is these links to financial dimensions, right? These are the ones that you've spent lots of time going over, figuring out which category goes where or which cost center goes on which line, items like that. So what we import from Management Reporter is going to be just these line items here that have the link to financial dimensions. So now that I've explained it, let's take a look at it. So here is my ActiveReporter application. This is just my dashboard. It allows me to get a quick look and see, make sure everything is syncing from GP correctly, which it is. I've also got a few shortcuts here to hop around the system if I'd like to quickly get where I'm going. In this case, we're going to use the navigation pane on the left to get to my setup folder, and from there we're going to go to roll-ups. So row definitions in Management Reporter are roll-ups in ActiveReporter. So when I've imported this income statement row definition into ActiveReporter, what it's going to look like is very similar, but a little different. So let's take a look. This is my roll-up in ActiveReporter, and you can see that it matches the descriptions here with the descriptions in Management Reporter. And as I said, the only items that we took in ActiveReporter are the items that have the financial dimension information here. So sales, sales returns, skipping to cost of goods sold. You can see how that works. So once you have your roll-up defined so that you know which accounts you'd like to summarize and view on one line, you can jump into creating a new report. So let's look at how creating a new report looks in ActiveReporter. Here again in my navigation pane, I'm going to go to Financial Designs. So the way that we like to do our reporting is we call financial designs. Those are sort of our templates. So you create a financial design, and then using that design each period, you generate your financial statements or your financial reporting. So these are sort of like your report definitions, but it's not split. It's all in one. So for example, we're going to take this blank workbook that I've previously created. I double click on it to bring up this dialog window, and from here I can jump directly into Excel to begin my design. Let's see. And first thing it's going to ask me is what workbook options I would like to use. So there's a lot of different workbook options here. You can see that you can change, but none of these are set in stone. You can change them at any time. So I'm going to just leave them default for now, and we'll come back and talk about them in a moment. So I have this blank workbook, which can be a little bit intimidating, sure. I have access here on this ribbon in the Functions section to all of the different functions that are available to be used with your GP data to create different reports. So I could go down cell by cell and create a report. So I could put in my company's legal name, and then maybe I put in the period, for the period ending, and it will substitute in here what the current period is in my options box, which is, of course, April 2017, the Fabricam period. So I can go down like that and do cell by cell and specifically put what I'd like in each cell. But that can get a little tedious, and it's not the way we recommend you do it. I mentioned earlier that we have a layout tool, and that's where we're going to go now. So clicking on this layout button brings me a drop-down where I can view all the different layouts that come pre-installed with the product. We're going to pick this one for now, the actual versus budget year-to-date. Once I pick, it asks me what financial items I'd like to use, and by items, what it means is grouping. So how do you want your lines grouped? Do you want to have one line for every account? Do you want to have one line for every instance of the account segment in your chart? Or here you can see all the roll-ups I have available. Now, by default, we're going to have roll-ups created on your system that are built off of the GP categories that are automatically assigned in Dynamics GP. So that's what we'll stick with today to stick within familiar terminology for everyone. We'll use GP income statement roll-up. So what this is just a row definition built off of your categories, basically. So I'll select that. I'll hit OK. I'll get some information here on the number of rows. Hit OK again. And you can see the system has generated for me a very basic template to start building my income statement with. Now, let's talk about the format here for a moment. You can see here that these first three columns and these first three rows are shaded a different color. The reason for that is that these rows are not printed or included in your report when it's distributed. These rows are here in order to make the report formulas work. So this report is actually built using ActiveReporter formulas functions so that nothing is hard-coded. What this does is allow for a greater amount of consistency since these values and descriptions are coming directly out of GP. This allows you to set your information in GP once, and then it reports in ActiveReporter exactly how it came from GP. So just a quick overlook at these functions to show how they work. This one is my segment item description function. We do use this wizard here so you can get a look at the different parts of the formulas and what we're asking for each one. In this case, we're saying that we'd like to see the segment item description for this cell here, roll-up GP income statement, and the roll-up item 32. So roll-up item 32 in roll-up GP income statement is actually sales returns and discounts. So this formula returns the words sales returns and discounts. In that way, we are able to sort of circumvent and get around misspellings that may come about because it's having to be typed multiple times. So same thing with values here. Let me do a double click here to show you where that's going. We'll talk about this one. So I'll pull up my box here to show you the different arguments needed. So what this function here is saying that we would like to see the year-to-date activity for the current period, and I want that activity to be limited by the roll-up GP income statement roll-up item 36, which in this case is salaries. And I would also like that activity to be limited to the A ledger. You can see that here. And the result of that comes out to this 164,000. So I just mentioned something that's a little bit unfamiliar from a GP perspective. I said ledger is A. So in Dynamics GP, you mostly are using you're mostly using the reporting ledger, your actual ledger, your base ledger, and you don't have any other ledgers unless you're using reporting ledgers, but that's much more rare. So mostly you just work on your base ledger and you never change it. In ActiveReporter, what we do is we import your budgets as a second ledger, the B ledger. So you can see here that this A has changed to a B in this column. And we're using the same formula in this column as in the budget column. The only difference is that this is your B ledger, your budget ledger. So all you have to do to go from actual values to budget values is change that B to an A. So just to demonstrate there, if I change that to actual, you can see your values change. So remember how I said this is a what you see is what you get type reporting system? You can see that right there. As I change this from actual to budget, everything changes right in front of me because it's built off of these formulas that are constantly updated. You can manually update the formula calculations up here with this calculate button as needed. But for the most part, all of your changes will be responsive. And here in this variance column, I just want to highlight all this is a very simple Excel formula saying I'd like this column minus this column and give me the results over here. And then you're able to get this entire report. So once you have the values on your report that you want, all you really have to do is go in and do the sort of Excel formatting magic to come up with a report that looks like this when it is generated and sent out. So all I did there, nothing was any complex work. It was just select the cell and click the paint bucket or do a total here. Very simple Excel activities that you're already familiar with and can do yourself. So that's going to be the advantage of having the report system in Excel, is it kind of puts it back in the hands of the accountants. This is something that you can do yourself as you would like to. And of course, while you're in a financial design, you'll always have access to that drill down. So you can double check and make sure that you're displaying the information that you'd like to display on your report. So that's a real quick look at how to build reports. Let me just close this out. There's a lot more available within reporting, of course, that we don't have time to go into the more specific situations, but if you have a specific reporting situation and you'd like to know how we could get that into our reporting, please send me a note here, or you can send Tara at TrinSoft an email if you would like. So as that is pretty much the basics as far as financial reporting goes. So I am going to pull this back up, maybe. Let's see. There we go. There we go. So we're back on my PowerPoint. And we're going to move on to talking about the active data analysis available within ActiveReporter. So some highlights here before we dive in and look at it. Our data analysis portions of the product are what we call active. They're always live and they don't need to be refreshed. The data is always updated as an update comes through from GP. It always matches. And that's fairly convenient as far as needing to have up-to-date visibility to your transactions and detail and things like that. Of course, within data analysis portion, we do also offer the drill down and drill back to GP, and we'll look at a few ways that's in there. We have some fantastic search tools that are customizable, and they're savable on a per user basis, meaning that each person who is using ActiveReporter can set up their view and searches exactly how they'd like, and they're not stepping on anybody else's toes. They're not changing anybody else's preferred view. It's all saved on a per user basis. So we kind of call this the smart list on steroids portion as well, and we'll see that. But the concept is it's very similar to a smart list in that it's a big list of data, but I find that the ActiveReporter version is a bit faster, allows you to have access to a lot more data, and allows you to do more with that data once you have it. And the active trial balance. So this is what I talked about earlier, which is the unique presentation of reports that, again, is always live without any generation needed. So we'll take a look at that as well. So let me pull my system back up here. Okay. So the first thing we'll look at is going to be those smart lists on steroids. They're going to be located up here. We just call these folders. So here's, for example, my chart of accounts folder for Fabricam. What this is just a list of all of the accounts in my chart of accounts in Fabricam. Each one of the accounts I can double click on to get more detail behind that account. So for example, the number, the description, and then all this information that comes from GP. Over here, we have some ActiveReporter information. This tells me where this account is assigned in different roll-ups, so I can have some visibility into that as well. For example, I can see that this is a payable account, and as such, it falls to roll-up item 16 in GP categories, taxes payable. Yeah, that looks like the right roll-up item to me. So you can go through and do a spot check from this perspective. Rather than going to the GP category and doing research there, you can come to your chart of accounts and see it all here in one list. You can see that I also have that description in my columns as well. So what that lets me do is come out here and make sure, for example, that all of my accounts are assigned to a category or a roll-up. So in this case here, you can see that my rent expense and my utilities expense, they haven't been assigned a category yet in GP, meaning that they haven't been assigned to a roll-up yet in ActiveReporter. So what this means is if I pull an income statement right now, I know I'm not going to see those two accounts on my income statement. So this is akin to a missing account analysis in Management Reporter. It's not a formal process. You can just come to the chart of accounts folder. You right-click to go to options. Here I can add all the columns of data that I have available to me, like the income statement roll-up, for example. So I can put my income statement roll-up over here, and I can see that all of these accounts have not been assigned to that roll-up. Well, it looks like there's a few things in there. So you can see that these are included in that roll-up and these aren't. So this is a great way to come in and do an analysis. Make sure that your account assignments are working the way that they're intended. Just a little bit more on the drill down here on the account level. So if I double click on an account, I've got a few options available to me. I've got a few different reports I can run on that account. And down here in the Journal Detail tab, I've actually got a listing of all of the transaction detail, all of the journal detail that has gone through this account. And this is from the beginning of time by default, so I'm going all the way back to my BBF entry at the end of 2013. So what I'd like to highlight here, while I've got a few different items in my journal detail, we're looking at this cash account. And of course, this cash account has quite a few different entries. You can see here that it goes from 2018 to 2013. Down here, I've got a total showing me that there's actually almost 2,000 lines in this journal detail for this one account. So what I'd like to bring to your attention now is this filter that I have up here. What this filter allows me to do I've got some built-in filters that allow me to filter down to different items on each one of the transaction details. So, for example, if I just wanted to see everything that went through my payroll cash account for a specific date range, I can do that. So I could say I'd like to see everything from, 4/01/2017 to 4/30/2017 and hit OK. And now all of my data that I'm seeing returned to me, you can see that it sorts, and 4/1/2017 is the only one available. It's sorted down, filtered down to 28 items only. So these filters can be customized in a few different ways. You can use the default ones as much as you like, of course, but if you have a search that's repeatable or that you find yourself doing every month, say there's some entries that you just need the transaction detail for these entries every month regardless, you can create a filter that will automatically pull up that detail for you. Okay, so we'll do some more on that later, but that's just a little look at the filters available at the journal detail level. Going back to this chart of accounts list, I also do want to mention that we've got a couple drill backs available from here. So I have one drill back shortcut that will bring up from here the account maintenance card on that account. So I can see that account within GP and make sure that all of the detail here is correct so that it flows through to ActiveReporter correctly. And of course, from here, you can get to all these different options in GP, whatever you need to do there. And if you're looking at balances or activity, we do have another shortcut on each one of the accounts. I have a drill back shortcut that I can use to pull up the detail inquiry for the account that you've selected for the current year according to the system date. Now, of course, this is Fabricam data, so there isn't any detail in 2019, but let's just pretend it's 2017, and you can see all the data there. So that is a great way to get a visibility into any one of your accounts. If you're going to want to start, if you want to start from the account level, so if you want to start with an account and research from there, this folder is a great place to do that. You've got a few tools up here as well to get around your accounts. You can see that right now I have a filter applied for actual accounts. These are for all the -A's, the actual ledger. Remember how I said that we split out the actual ledger and imported your budgets as a budget ledger? That's what this represents. These are going to be the actual accounts, meaning these are the ones that sync with the actual activity taking place in GP. Well, if I clear that filter, you can see the corresponding budget accounts for each one of these that carries the budget information from each one of the budgets that is uploaded in GP in your system. So in this chart of accounts listing, I can apply different filters to get lists of different accounts. So if I just wanted to see, my unit accounts, I can do that. Notice that for these, we do a -S to indicate that these are your statistics. This is your statistical ledger. And we have a lookup box here that you are able to define a specific account in, or you can just do a mask if you'd like to see accounts of a specific type. So you've got a lot of flexibility with this. This is going to be the same concept here in the Journal Entries folder. Again, just a listing of every journal entry that has come through GP here in ActiveReporter. You can see the total down here is at about 3,300 journal entries. Now, each one of these represents an entire entry. So if I double-click on one of these to pull it up, it will show me all of the debit and credit line items for this specific entry, as well as, of course, offering me the option to drill back into GP to see this journal entry there. That way I can get in and do some deeper research if I'd like to. Going one step further, this one will bring you journal detail. Each one of these is one debit or credit line in a journal entry. So for example, this item here, if I double click on that one, it will bring me more detail about that specific line item and also offer me a journal entry button if I'd like to see that line item in context. So there's the entire entry, all the ins and outs of it. And of course, from this level here, again, if I'd like to, I have that drill back into GP. So from journal detail here, I'd like to go a little bit deeper into the filters that we have available. So for example, there's a few that come by default, and I've added a few just to give an example of what you could do. One of the things that I found myself doing in GP frequently was pulling trial balances to do reconciliations in different accounts. So that becomes a lot easier here in ActivReporter than using the trial balances produced in GP, because the trial balances, as nice as they are static, and I can't work with them very well. So I'd end up printing them out and then making marks all over them to tell me where things went, and then I'd go in and use my reference page to make it work. So with ActivReporter, what I love is we've got the concept of using relative dates. So these up here, this period, for example, this is always going to be relative to what my system date says it is. Now, I have this set up to work in a Fabricam context, so it's not exactly relative to my system date, but it would be if you set it up. So, for example, if I do this period, if I apply that filter, this is going to filter to everything within April 2017 because that's Fabricam's current period. Similarly, if I did this period last year, it's going to pull April, but 2016, not 2017. So what this means is it allows you to create searches that you do each month. So I can come in here every month, select the this period filter. Then on top of that, I can hold my control button down and choose maybe payroll journal, for example. And now I have everything from the payroll journal from my current period, which is decided by my system date. So rather than going in and pulling a trial balance every month, I can just use this filter. I could even create a filter combining this into one filter so I didn't have to pick up two. And then I can just choose the filter, and then here's the results that I need to do my analysis with. I can do a Control-A to select them all, and I even have a couple shortcuts here. I can do a Control-C to copy a plain text version of that data that I can paste into Excel. Or I have a different shortcut available. I have a Shift Control-C that is going to copy this data into Excel in a pre-formatted Excel table. So I can have, all the benefits that come with the Excel table, like the filters and the totals and items like that at the end. So depending on the type of analysis that you do each month, if there's little research projects and things like that that you go through, ActivReporter becomes a great tool to quickly find what you're looking for using the filters and lookups. And then you can either dive back into GP with the shortcuts and address the issue there, or you can copy and paste into Excel and create those ad hoc reports that need to get, communicated to someone specific. So there's a lot of potential here in these folders, as we call them. So, all right, let's talk about financial views. I love financial views. I think they're fantastic. This is the active trial balance that I was mentioning earlier. So let me just go to this. So you can see that right now what this is a trial balance by account. Let me clean this up a minute so this is a little bit clearer. Add the account description there. There we go. So you can see that I've got a column for my account description, the beginning balance, debits, credits, net activity, and the ending balance. And this is a list for every one of my accounts in my chart, including the budget accounts, as you can see. Now, depending on the size of your chart, this could be a more or less useful report for you. But again, you still have your filters applied if you'd like to use them. So for instance, I here can filter down to my cash account, or I can use my lookup to say I'd like to view actual accounts only, please, and no budget. You've also got calendar periods here where you can change which calendar you use, which is a great segue into the fact that ActiveReporter does sync and use your fiscal calendar that you have defined within GP, but you can also use our calendars that come default with the product, or you can customize your own calendar. So by default, we give you a few calendars here, like the annual calendar, if you'd like to see your information summed up for a year. The forever calendar, if you'd like to see all the activity that has ever happened. Or quarterly, weekly, we can generate a 445 calendar. This just allows you to get a little bit different viewpoint of your data, depending on the time period you'd like to see it for. So let's look at a different presentation. These financial views, as they're called, are customizable, and you can create ones that fit your company or organization's view, so you can get the most accurate, helpful view into the data that you have. So the trial balance may not be a helpful view with everything by account, but you could build a trial balance built off of one of your roll-ups, for example. This is a trial balance off of the GP categories, again, just as an example, and it does come by default with the product. So what I have is one line for each one of the GP categories, and then, of course, the beginning balance, debits, credits, activity, and ending balance. Each one of these items I can double-click on again to do my drill down. And if I'd like to get a closer look, I, of course, always have the option to do my shortcut back into GP. So as you can imagine, in your daily workflow, the way this could look, is during close or another period where there's a lot of entry going on. You can set this trial balance to come in and look at your current fiscal period. And then as items go into GP, you can see them come in. Here I have a checkbox that says include unmerged. The word merge is a bit of a historical word for ActiveReporter. It just means posted. ActiveReporter is a product that comes from a full ERP product that Intuitive produces, but we've spun off a little bit of it and created this product for GP users. So merge is sort of a historical word again. So if you see merge, just think posted and you won't be incorrect. So when you're doing your monthly close, you can come here and keep a bird's eye view of your entire account, and you can see here what's not been posted yet. You can clear it off and clear it back on to see the differences. You can see that it's very quick and reactive to see the difference. And like I said, this is going to be completely reactive to changes in GP. Just to demonstrate that, I'm going to go in really quickly and create an entry in GP just to give you a view of that. Okay, so you can see that here I'm in calendar 2017 period 4, and I'm going to make this in my demo batch. Say, oops, like that. This is going to be my demo journal entry. And let's see, I have an entry saved here. There it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think it's on this one. Yeah. So what we're going to do here, oh, that's why I was on the forever calendar. Let me get back to 2017 period 4. Here we go. Okay. So let's look at this entry. We're going to see activity in ActiveReporter here on this line, and going on down. We're going to do this line and this line, but we'll just focus on these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paste this entry into GP, and we're going to paste, and I'm going to save the entry. And oops, oh, I messed it up by not keeping my unposted. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Let me go back and delete that entry, and then we'll do that again. You can see it come through. So let me delete. Oops, that's not it. Okay, so I'm going to delete this entry. You can see it this way too. You'll see this account and this account. You see that 15,000? That's my entry right there. So if I go ahead and delete it, you can see ActiveReporter right there being responsive and removing it for me. So just again, the issue there was I did not have include unmerged checked, meaning that I'm not going to see unposted items. So now that I have unposted items selected, I'll do that again really quick. I'll just paste this and save. Oh, that's a good point, GP. Let's name this reference. So I'll save it. There you can see it appear. And again, if I go back and delete it, come on, did I get it? There it goes. And it's gone. So just a real quick look at how that behaves. This does stay live at constantly. It receives updates from your GP databases to stay up to date with that. In case you ever think that it is out of sync, we do have tools and reports designed to match the balances and make sure that everything is connected. So with that, I'm going to just show you this. There is a lot involved in this product. There is an endless amount of customization available, flexibility available. If you have a situation that you think might take a complex product to fit the need, I think ActiveReporter is going to be your best bet because of the fact that we are so flexible. We allow you to build customizable scripts to run within the program to meet certain needs, and to do automation around your distribution and creating, maybe some departmental reports and things like that. So there's a lot here that we didn't get to look at, but I do encourage you to go out and check out ActiveReporter.gp. And you can see all the videos that we've created that kind of display the different features of the product. So let's look at this really quick. This is going to be our pricing structure. So with TrinSoft, the way that this works is it's going to be $1,000 for initial implementation. That $1,000 of implementation is going to get you an unlimited installation time and 4 hours of setup and training once the installation has been accomplished. Then there's the $70 per month license fee. That one license is going to get you access to up to 10 separate GP databases at separate companies in ActiveReporter, unlimited users across those companies, and then access to all further updates and items like that for the product. So if you, like I say, this is 10 company databases. So if you have, if you have maybe 15 company databases, then that's going to be two licenses that you would need to purchase. So that would be, twice the license fee and initial implementation. So Let's look. We also do want to put this out there. Since TrinSoft has been so wonderful as to host us today, even though, Tara, I'm so sorry I didn't get the voice figured out for you. But since they've been so kind to host us, anyone who is interested in ActiveReporter and pursues purchasing the product through TrinSoft, Intuitive is offering an additional hour of support and training to go with you. So that could be an additional hour of training for you and your staff. It could be an additional hour of building a very specific report, leveraging Intuitive's help. It's whatever you would like to use it with. So, okay. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I apologize for not having Tara on. We're going to have to work out how GoToWebinar works, but it's been great to be here and to speak with you all today. I hope that this is something that looks like it might be useful for you. If so, like it says on your screen, you can contact your TrinSoft GP consultant for next steps. You've all got Tara's email, and you've got some information on your screen as well for how to find more information about ActiveReporter. So feel free to reach out to us or to TrinSoft, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.